Have you ever felt a spark ignite within your soul when the timeless words of Psalm 23 are spoken? This isn't just a verse, it's a lifeline that cuts through life's chaos, offering hope where despair once reigned. Maybe you've heard it at a funeral, its gentle rhythm soothing a room heavy with loss, or whispered it in prayer during a moment of desperate need. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. These words have echoed across centuries, reaching wanderers lost in vast deserts, warriors clinging to hope on bloodied battlefields, patients staring into the unknown from sterile hospital beds, and souls battling the weight of sleepless nights. But hold on. What if I told you a secret hides within these lines? A truth so powerful, it could redefine your relationship with God, reshape who you are, and guide you through every twist of life's journey. This isn't some complex mystery locked away in dusty theology books. It's a revelation so simple a child can grasp it, yet so deep it invites a lifetime of discovery. Imagine a wisdom that steadies you in life's fiercest storms, lifts you from the darkest valleys, and fills you with a peace that no trial can shake. That's the promise waiting here. Welcome back to Salt Light Stories. Today, we're unlocking the hidden treasures of Psalm 23, a passage where the shepherd's peace awaits you. If you're new, hit subscribe to join our journey into God's Word. Picture this: a dark night turns bright with an unseen companion by your side. Rest breaks through endless demands, and every step you take fits a divine plan crafted just for you. Curious how this can be yours? Psalm 23 holds the key. Stay with me to the end, because this secret will not only prepare you for life's challenges, but transform how you live each day with unshakable faith. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. These opening words lay a foundation so firm that they uphold every truth David shares in this psalm, drawing us into a relationship built on trust and complete reliance on God's provision. David doesn't start with a list of desires or complaints about life's struggles. Instead, he affirms his bond with the shepherd, a connection that naturally brings contentment without strain or effort. To say, "The Lord is my shepherd," means far more than acknowledging a distant divine presence. It reveals an intimate relationship where David sees God actively involved in every moment of his life. He's not picturing a remote creator watching from afar, but a God who knows each person's name, story, and deepest thoughts. Much like a devoted shepherd knows every sheep in his flock, with the Lord as this shepherd, you can declare with bold confidence that you will not want. This doesn't mean freedom from every fleeting desire for luxury or comfort. It promises you'll never face a true lack that threatens your spiritual growth or emotional peace. David assures us that our shepherd provides exactly what we need, precisely when we need it. Be it strength in trials, clarity in confusion, or hope when despair looms large. I once met a middle-aged man after a Sunday service, his life shaken by sudden unemployment from layoffs at his company. A dedicated software engineer for over 20 years, he faced a stock market crash that wiped out his savings, pushing him close to losing his home and the security he'd built. His weary posture and tired eyes told of sleepless nights worrying for his loved ones. Yet, beneath that exhaustion shone a defiant peace. He shared how God met his needs daily. Sometime, with a friend's unexpected meal or timely encouragement when doubt peaked. Through it all, he never lacked sustenance or felt abandoned. This reflects the shepherd's provision alive today. It may not always look like worldly wealth, but it's a steady sufficiency that meets our deepest needs, strengthening our faith through challenges. It invites each of us, whether burdened by financial stress or unsure of life's path, to pause and consider entrusting ourselves to His care, knowing He anticipates our needs before we voice them. If anxiety weighs on you about tomorrow or scarcity overshadows your present, embrace this truth now. Let Him take full responsibility as your shepherd, offering unwavering care without limit. Trust His path, even when it differs from your plans. Sheep under His watch need not chart their course. Only listen for His voice guiding them to safety and provision. If you're at a crossroads, uncertain which way to go, will you believe He's ready to lead every step with wisdom crafted for you? He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. These are more than poetic images. They paint a picture of a soul at rest. From the moment David declares, "The Lord is my shepherd," we step into a scene of deep calm. The dust of a weary journey settles, and the noise of fear fades away. Sheep don't rest easily. They're nervous, always watching for danger. To lie down, they need to feel safe, free from hunger, and sure the shepherd is close. David shows us that God Himself creates this peace. He doesn't wait for us to find calm on our own. He gently makes us rest. Green pastures offer nourishment, not the dry, thin grass of a desert, but soft blades swaying in the breeze, brimming with life. Still waters flow gently, not wild or rushing, reflecting the sky and whispering softly against the shore. In the same way, His presence quiets the storms inside us, even when the world around us churns with chaos. Often, we don't choose rest, yet God guides us there with care. Maybe you've sensed Him slow your pace through unwanted moments, an illness, a closed door, or a season of waiting. It may have felt like a setback at first, but with time, you might see He was protecting you from exhaustion. Could this have been His way of leading you to still waters? Here's the hidden beauty. Rest isn't weakness in God's kingdom. It's a powerful choice. It declares the shepherd is in charge, and you don't need to struggle for safety or provision. Breathe deeply, trusting He watches over you. In His pastures, you find nourishment. By His waters, you feel renewal. In a world that constantly urges you to hurry, will you dare to pause and let Him bring the peace your soul craves? He restores my soul. These 4 words carry a depth that only those who have been broken can truly feel. To restore means to bring back to the original design, to repair what has been damaged, to make whole what has been shattered. The soul is more than emotions or thoughts. It is the very seat of who you are. When David says God restores his soul, he is telling us that the shepherd is not only concerned with our survival, he cares about our wholeness. Think about the moments when life has left you fractured. Maybe it was grief that hollowed you out. Maybe it was betrayal that cut deep. Maybe it was a slow erosion of hope over the years until you could barely remember what joy felt like. Can you see how the world tells us to move on, to patch ourselves up, to keep going? But God does more than patch. He restores. He rebuilds what sin, pain, and time have stolen. I remember a man named Sebastian. His life had been a relentless series of storms, a childhood marked by abandonment, years spent chasing success only to find it left him emptier than before. And then a personal failure that crushed his reputation and cost him almost everything. I met him on a gray, rainy afternoon, the kind where the streets glisten under the dim light of old lamps. We sat together in the back corner of a small chapel, where the faint scent of candle wax lingered and the soft echo of rain tapped against the stained glass windows. His shoulders were slightly hunched, and his eyes carried both the weight of years and the faint flicker of hope. His voice was low and rough, as if each word carried the weight of all he had endured. By the time I met him, he was a shadow of himself, barely holding on. He told me he felt like a house with its roof torn off and rain pouring in. No shelter, no warmth, just the cold wind of regret. But somewhere in that darkness, Sebastian began to hear a voice, not condemning, not accusing, but calling. The shepherd was reaching for him. It began with a verse he could not get out of his mind. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He found himself walking into a small church one rainy evening. The sermon was on Psalm 23. He listened as if those ancient words had been written just for him. He restores my soul. Over time, Sebastian began to believe it. Slowly, God rebuilt the inner walls that had crumbled. It was as if the shepherd himself walked through every broken hallway of Sebastian's heart, mending the cracks, lifting the beams, and letting his light spill into the rooms that had long been shut. He softened the hard ground of his heart. He taught him to forgive himself. And one day, Sebastian told me he no longer felt like a broken house. He felt like a home again, with light in every room and the warmth of the shepherd's presence filling the air. Restoration is not instant. It is the work of a patient shepherd who knows exactly where to begin. If your soul feels worn and torn today, will you remember this? He restores. He is still restoring. And the same hands that shaped you at the start are the ones holding you now. When the shepherd restores your soul, he does not leave you in the same place where he found you. Healing is only the beginning. Once the broken pieces are mended and the weight of sorrow is lifted, he takes your hand and begins to lead you forward. The journey is not aimless. Every step is chosen with care. But where does he lead? And how can you be sure the path ahead is truly the right one? He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Guidance is one of the greatest gifts the shepherd offers. Life is full of crossroads. Some paths look easy, but end in emptiness. Others look hard, but lead to joy. We all long to choose the right way, yet our own vision is limited. We see only what is directly ahead. He sees the entire journey. When David speaks of the paths of righteousness, he is not just talking about moral rule or religious duty. Righteousness here means being aligned with the shepherd's heart, walking in step with his ways. These paths are not random. They are intentional, designed to bring you closer to him and to shape your life into something that reflects his goodness. Sometimes the path feels like a gentle meadow, easy and pleasant. Other times it feels like a steep climb, exhausting and uncertain. But every turn is chosen for a reason. The shepherd's leading is not just about where you go, but about who you become along the way. Every season, whether joyful or painful, is part of his work to grow your faith, deepen your love, and strengthen your character. I once knew a woman named Ruth who had dreamed of becoming a teacher since she was a little girl. But just when her career was beginning, her father fell ill, without hesitation. She left her job to care for him full-time. It felt like a detour, a loss of the life she had planned. Yet in that quiet season of service, she learned patience, compassion, and a deeper reliance on God. Years later, She returned to teaching, but she was no longer the same. She carried with her the wisdom and gentleness of those years, and her students were changed because of it. God's guidance often works like that. It may not make sense in the moment. You may wonder why He leads you through places you did not expect. But the promise of Psalm 23 is that every path He chooses is for His name's sake. That means His reputation is on the line. He will not lead you anywhere that would cause His care for you to fail. If you feel unsure about the path you are on, take heart. You are not wandering. You are being led. And the one who leads you knows the end from the beginning. Follow His voice. Trust His steps. And you will find that even the hardest road is part of a story He is writing for your good and for His glory. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff. They comfort me. These words are among the most powerful in all of Scripture. David does not say, if I walk through the valley, but even though, the valleys will come. Darkness is a part of the journey, but the presence of the shepherd changes everything. The valley of the shadow of death is not just about the moment of dying. It is any place where fear presses in, where hope seems distant, where danger feels near. For some, it is a hospital room with monitors beeping in the night. For others, it is the crushing weight of loss, the grief that follows you into every room. For many, it is the uncertainty of tomorrow, wondering how you will make it through. The shadow may fall over you, but it cannot touch you when you walk with the shepherd. Shadows look larger than they are. They can intimidate, but they have no substance. The valley is real, but it is also temporary. David says, walk through, not stay, not collapse. Walk, step by step. The shepherd leads you out. His rod and his staff are not just symbols. The rod is for protection, driving away predators. The staff is for guidance, pulling a sheep back from danger. In your valley, these are the tools of His presence. His protection keeps you from the harm you cannot see. His guidance keeps you from losing your way. I once visited a man named Elias in the final weeks of his battle with cancer. He told me he felt no fear, only a strange peace. Every night, he imagined the shepherd walking beside his bed, sometimes speaking, sometimes silent, but always there. The pain did not vanish, yet it no longer controlled him. The valley was still the valley, but it had been transformed into a place of encounter. Courage in darkness is not the absence of fear. It is the presence of someone greater than your fear. When you walk through the valley with the shepherd, you may still feel the cold wind, but you also feel His hand steadying you. The darkness may be deep, but His light is deeper still. If you are in that valley now, hold on to this truth. You are not alone. Every step you take is one step closer to the other side, where light breaks over the hills and the shepherd's voice calls you forward. The valley fades behind you, its shadows left in the distance. Ahead, in the warm glow of sunlight, a table waits prepared by the shepherd himself, set right where fear once ruled. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. This is not a picture of survival. It is a picture of victory. The shepherd does not just get you out of the valley. He brings you to a place of honor and abundance right where the battle once raged. In ancient times, sharing a table was more than eating a meal. It was a sign of covenant, friendship, and favor. To sit at the shepherd's table while your enemies watch is a declaration that you are under His protection. They may plot, but they cannot touch what He has blessed. The battle may not be over, yet the victory is already yours. The anointing of oil was both a sign of being chosen and a practical act of care. Shepherds would pour oil on a sheep's head to protect it from insects and heal small wounds. In the same way, God's anointing brings both calling and healing. It marks you as His own and equips you for the journey ahead. And when the shepherd anoints you, it is a public declaration in the spiritual realm that you are set apart, covered, and empowered. And then David says, "My cup overflows." This is the language of abundance, not scarcity. An overflowing cup means there is more than enough. Enough joy, enough strength, enough grace to not only sustain you, but to spill over into the lives of others. This is what the shepherd does. He turns survival into celebration, lack into abundance, and defeat into victory. I remember a young man named Aaron who had faced relentless criticism at his workplace for holding on to his faith. It wore him down, and for a time he felt isolated and unappreciated. But as he continued to trust God, opportunities opened in unexpected ways. One day, his manager, the same one who had mocked him, asked him for advice on a personal crisis. Aaron realized that God had set a table for him right in that place, giving him influence and respect where there had once been opposition. His enemies had not disappeared, but they had been silenced. When God sets a table for you, it is not just about feeding you. It is about showing the watching world that you belong to Him and that His care for you is unshakable. The shepherd's table is a place of rest, honor, and overflow, and it is a promise that no matter who stands against you, the one who stands with you is greater. The table fades behind you, and the sun begins to set in warm gold. The shepherd's presence is still close, his steps steady beside yours. Now David's final words in Psalm 23 rise like a song that carries you forward. "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." These are not just closing lines. They are the heartbeat of the believer's journey. David does not say, "I hope goodness and mercy will follow me." He says, "Surely, it is certain," grounded not in his circumstances, but in the unchanging character of the shepherd. Goodness is the shepherd's active kindness toward you, shaping every step with his care. Mercy is his faithful love, forgiving, patient, and unending. Together, they are like two loyal companions walking behind you, ensuring that nothing from your past can overtake you or steal your future. Even when you cannot see them, they are there. In the joy of the morning and the shadows of the night, they remain. David says, "All the days of my life." That means there is no season where God's goodness and mercy are absent. In the green pastures, they are there. In the dark valleys, they are there. When you feel strong and when you feel weak, they do not leave your side. The shepherd's promise is not for moments, but for the whole journey. And then comes the destination. "I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." This is more than a place. It is home. A place where the shepherd is not just leading you to visit, but to stay. The journey of life is not random wandering. It is moving toward this home, step by step, guided by His hand. The valleys, the battles, the pastures, the still waters. They are all leading you here. I think of an elderly woman named Margaret, who spent her final years in a small cottage by the sea. She told me she had no fear of dying because she had spent her whole life walking with the shepherd. Every morning she would watch the sunrise over the waves and whisper, "One day I will see a sunrise that never ends." For her, Goodness and mercy were not just ideas. They were companions she had known for decades. And the house of the Lord was not a distant hope, but a doorway she felt ready to walk through. For those who belong to the shepherd, the story does not end in the valley, or at the table, or even in the green pastures. It ends, and yet truly begins, in his house forever. That is the promise David clung to. That is the promise we can live by. Will you walk toward that home today, knowing his goodness and mercy are already following you? We have walked together through Psalm 23, from the still waters to the valley, from the shepherd's guiding paths to his table of victory, and finally to the promise of his house forever. Every verse has been more than poetry. It has been a map of the soul's journey with God. These are not words to be admired from a distance. They are truths to be lived, breathed, and held on to in the middle of our own stories. The shepherd in Psalm 23 is not a distant figure. He is present in your green pastures, in your darkest valleys, in your battles, and in your victories. He knows your needs before you speak them. He restores what you thought could never be whole again. He leads you when you cannot see the next step. He defends you when you are under attack. And he is preparing a place for you where goodness and mercy will never leave your side. Maybe as you have listened, you have felt the echo of your own life in David's words. Perhaps you are in a season of still waters, and this is your time to rest in his care. Or maybe you are walking through a valley right now, and the shadows feel overwhelming. Hear this truth: the shepherd walks with you. You are not alone, and your valley is not the end. If you have been sitting at the table of your enemies, feeling surrounded by opposition, know that God is setting that table to show his faithfulness in front of every challenge you face. If your soul has been weary, he is still in the work of restoration. And if you feel far from home, remember, every step is taking you closer to the house of the Lord, where you will dwell forever. Psalm 23 is not just about survival. It is about living in the fullness of the shepherd's presence. No matter the season, let these words be your anchor. Let them remind you that your story is being written by hands that are both powerful and gentle, guiding you toward a future filled with hope. And as we close this journey, may your heart rest in the certainty that the shepherd walks beside you now, and his house is already prepared for your arrival. If this journey through Psalm 23 has spoken to your heart, I invite you to join our community here at Salt Light Stories. Subscribe so you will not miss the next time we open the scriptures together and uncover treasures that can change a life. And I would love to hear from you in the comments. Write, "The Lord is my shepherd," as your way of declaring trust in him today. You never know. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read. Until we meet again, may the goodness and mercy of the shepherd follow you today, tomorrow, and every day until you step into his house forever.